welcome. I am Hope at Crafty Hope, and I am working on day 43 of ICAD. All right, so here's the spiel. ICAD means Index Card a Day. It comes from Tammy Garcia of Daisy Yellow, who has weekly themes and daily prompts. I don't tend to bother with the themes, but we'll use the prompts from time to time. My friend Nina Fickett also has what she calls mixed media ICAD prompts that are daily prompts as well. So I write those on the back of a 3x5 index card, and every day through the months of June and July, which is what ICAD runs, I create. Now I may use those prompts, I may not. Sometimes I'll just use one of them, sometimes neither. Today, the two prompts, let's see, the Daisy Yellow prompt from Tammy is Scrabble, and the mixed media ICAD prompt from Nina is acrylic paint. So I think I kind of showed y'all there. I pulled out some Scrabble tiles because I have tons of them. And then acrylic paint, I figured that's pretty easy. So I'm starting my card the way I do most of them, which is with some collage. Now, I've said this in all of my videos just about, but I've got a couple of scrap boxes of paper, and I don't know, there's other things in there, fabric and buttons and who knows what else. And I'm trying to work through those because I have a plethora of paper in this craft room. And it is some gorgeous, beautiful books and handwritten things and all of that. But when I tear them down, I'm left with all of these scraps, and I tend to just throw them in these boxes and put them aside. And for this ICAD, I thought, you know what, I'm going to use these scraps, try to work through these boxes and not create any more scraps. So that's what I've been doing. So as you saw, I pulled out some of the scraps from my box that looked interesting to me, and I'm using just an Oohoo glue stick to glue them down. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and admit, y'all, this card, woo, it almost got the best of me. It has some phases here where I'm like, oh my gosh, I really love this. I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm not going to do much more. And then I'm like, oh, but I can't leave it like this. I've got to add my Scrabble. I've got to add my acrylic paint. I've got to do all these things. And I don't know. I think I like the card. Like when I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. But it's not at all what I thought it was going to be. So I'm looking at it. I didn't like that big blank piece of paper there, so I'm going to add a couple more pieces of collage here. And I really, really love this collage. I almost feel like I could have just thrown a sentiment at it and been done. But like I said, I kind of just kept looking at things and going, no, I need to add more. No, I need to add more. And so, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So, I've got this gorgeous collage. I don't know. I decided I'm going to just rub a little bit of gesso over it. So, I've got some Liquitex Basics gesso, and I'm going to grab a palette knife and just kind of lightly rub that over my card. Now, the purpose of this for me most of the time is to help that collage, become more like integrated and cohesive and don't feel like so many segregated parts, I guess. So it does okay, but I kind of liked the segregated parts. I liked how they each had their own shape and texture and all of that. So anyway, I decided to use up all of that little bit of gesso I have on there, and I'm looking at it going, oh, word, what did I do? So, as is my practice, I like to throw sometimes some instant coffee at things. So, I've got this yogurt cup, and I reconstituted it, and to make sure it didn't get too washed out, I only put a little bit of water in my cup. And for some reason, as I splatter it, I decided I wanted to make the splatter heavier at the bottom. It doesn't make any difference in the end, but you see, I kind of concentrated a lot of my splatter there at the bottom. I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm going to try this and then bring in the acrylic paint. I wanted a blue, so I grabbed this Americana sea glass paint, I think is what it's called. It's a beautiful like light blue green, and I'm gonna put just some rectangular marks on here, and I start to do it just kind of on the left and the right of the card. And I really didn't mean to go this crazy with the acrylic paint. I was gonna do maybe 6 or 7 marks, and no, pretty much did the whole card. And then I'm going to wet my paintbrush and just kind of blur the edges a little bit. It doesn't end up showing up that much in the end in the dried product. They still kind of just look like rectangles. Yeah, it was something to play with. I struggled this whole card. So I'm going to blur these edges a little bit. This is something I have seen Nicole Watson do. I keep tagging her every time I use this because I hate to be like stealing her idea or whatever. So I'm, like I said, trying to blur these, but it doesn't really work. But look, acrylic paint in my card. And on my desk, I happen to have also some Americana paint in Midnight Blue. I love this color. I had it on my desk working on a jewelry project, actually. So I'm just getting a little bit and splattering it on top of the other paint and everything else, just to get a little bit darker blue contrast on there. And I started to put it up, but decided I wanted to frame up this card already since I already had that darker blue out. I'm going to just use that watery blue to kind of go around my card. Just real quick, frame it up. And it does make a difference. It makes, I don't know, there's something about framing up these index cards that gives that like a final touch sometimes. All right, so all that's really wet. I'm going to grab a Stabilo all pencil and graphite and just go around a couple of these blobby rectangles. I didn't want to go around all of them. Some of that stuff's still wet and kind of moved and blurred, and that is fine. I am good with that. And then I realized, also trying to work on a jewelry project, I had sitting on my desk some rub-ons from the Dollar Tree. Now, most of the time I do not have trouble with the Dollar Tree rub-ons, getting them to rub, but these metallic ones are giving me fits. I cannot get them to rub off. So if you've ever gotten the metallic rub-ons from the Dollar Tree and had success with them, let me know. The ones with color and everything, I don't have a problem with, but I'm going to struggle here. Now, since it is gold, I knew it wouldn't show up on my card on those lighter colors that I have. And, so I decided to take some of the Midnight Blue paint there and put it on a piece of vintage scrap paper that I tore apart. I think it's from an old envelope, y'all. And I'm going to dry it real quick and then proceed to use my bone folder and try to rub on this pretty gold feather. And I probably included more of this struggle in here than I should have, but I wanted you to see that I really did try. And it's just, I thought maybe I had it on the wrong side. I kind of checked it over, and I don't know if you see it, but I kept putting it back over toward where my stuff is. And yeah, I think I just now realized what the problem was. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, y'all, I just looked at these rub-ons that are sitting on my desk, and there is a very light film on the back of it that for some reason, in all of my fiddling with this and rubbing on it, I did not. Oh my gosh, I'm really upset right now. It's okay. So what I do is I trimmed down that bit of rub-on. Y'all, I totally was like, problem solving, what are we going to do? So I trimmed down that rub-on. I am laughing at myself so hard right now because I didn't even think of that till just this minute while I'm doing this voiceover. Alright, so I grabbed my match hole medium and I'm just going to glue that whole piece of film down on top of that bit of paper that I painted. Oh, y'all, tomorrow we may have more feather rub-ons as I try to do this. I guess maybe the coffee hadn't hit me yet this morning. Oh, I'm tickled. All right, so I'm going to move this little piece around, trying to decide. My problem with it was shine because it had that film. It was shinier than I wanted it to be, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to roll with this. So I pulled out my Scrabble tiles and I cut out some of me sorting through all of them to get the word fly because, I think of feathers, I think of birds, I think of them flying. So I thought that was I didn't want a word that was going to be really long because Scrabble tiles take up quite a bit of room. And I kept moving it around the card, and I debated back and forth whether or not to use the Scrabble tiles because they're just so big and they're bulky, and they didn't seem to fit. So I was trying to get some way to integrate them on the card, and pulled out that dyed cheesecloth and looked at it. This is sped up, and y'all see how long I looked at that. And I decided maybe I would alter those Scrabble tiles, and maybe that would help. So I got my coffee and I'm edging it, and it ends up just getting all over not the cards, tiles. So yeah, I'm gonna try to age these in a bit of a way, and oh, y'all, this is where I was really struggling, and like, this card is a mess. It is a hot, hot mess, and I haven't even gotten everything glued down yet. So, like I said, the coffee got all over the front of the tiles, and I tried to wipe it off, but I was like, you know what? I'll just bring out some sandpaper and push that back a little. So, and there was a little bit of paint on my brush and all of that got on at least the L of that fly, but nah, it works. So here's me with my cheap sanding block, sanding black a little bit of that coffee, hoping that you can still see the letters, because I don't know, it felt really dark close up. Here in the video, it doesn't seem quite as bad. All right, so I'm going to look at this again on the cheesecloth and finally decide that no, I'm not going to use the cheesecloth. It was just too much. So I'm going to lay these out and then think for a second and decide that I don't have enough of that metallic gold on the card. So I grab a Uniball Signo gel pen in gold, and I'm going to, go around some of the circles with that as well. Not circles, those rectangles. I'm going to circle some of the rectangles with that gold as well. And I really like this touch. When in the close-ups, you'll see that I need to use that pen more often. Yeah. And then I decide, what am I going to do? I decide that the words, yeah, I'm still buggered by that, the Scrabble tiles. I thought, do they really fit in? So yeah, I go over the black of the Scrabble tiles with that gold pen too, to kind of get that gold in them as well. And now I'm like, okay, just glue everything down home. So I'll use my glue stick just to glue that piece of paper down, because it's not heavy at all. So it's going to get stuck down. And then I've got some E6000 that I'll use on my Scrabble tiles. And this one actually is a little clogged up. So I grab another one that's nearby yeah. And I will glue these down. And that will be this struggle bus of a card. I'd love to know what you think of this. And y'all, please, I know I'm a big old dodo head, because I didn't think to look to see if there was film on the back of that rub-on. I am kicking myself because I've been trying for 2 days to use that rub-on on something. All right, here's a look at this card. I hope you like this, even though it felt like a fail to me. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you did like it, subscribe, and come back tomorrow and see what kind of craziness I've got going on then. Thanks, y'all. Bye.